We're going to looking at the 5 most broken spells in Dota and how we can play against them. And if you don't agree with this list, you know some other ability that you can add to it, tell me down in the comments. So let's get right into it. Number 1 is Lich's Frost Shield. Why is it good? Well, it has a slow, which is incredibly good for early game kills, catching heroes with bad movement speed, as well as that in the mid game, getting those pickoffs and kills really turns around those small interactions and fights, especially with the damage reduction it applies. And this damage reduction is percentage based, which means it scales better and better the later and later it gets in the game. So this spell is incredibly good at all parts of the game, and is usually the reason why Lich players are maxing this spell out, because on level 4 it has a 6-second duration and a 15-second cooldown. Very little downtime in this spell, and when we go to level 15 we have a talent that adds another 4-second duration. So we get 10-second total duration and 15-second cooldown. So you can constantly keep spamming it in team fights. Now, how do we counter this? Well, the most reliable way is to purge it. You can pick something like Oracle, or if you don't have a hero that can purge, you can pick up a nullifier on your carry. This is going to be a lot more essential against a good Lich player in the later parts of the game if you're the one playing a carry. Now, the other thing you can do is play around the Frost Shield. Wait till it's off cooldown, wait out the duration, and then go back into the fight. However, because the downtime is so short based off of the current balancing, it's often just better to focus on a different hero. Number 2 is Spectre's Dispersion. Why is it good? Well, again, it reflects damage, we all know that, but it's percentage based, which means it scales better and better. If Spectre picks up a bunch of items that increases her health, especially that neutral item Witless Shackle, Spectre becomes the ability to reflect even more damage, so it scales incredibly good. It makes it very hard to pick off Spectre if you're solo by yourself, so something like Wind Ranger can't just come along and focus fire the Spectre because the return damage is so much. You need teammates with you. So it also, how the spell works is it's calculated uses raw damage. So let's say you have a Drow Ranger. The Drow Ranger attacks Spectre for 100 damage. Now Spectre has armor and reduces this down to 75 damage. Now pretty much Spectre will take that 75 damage, but will return based off of the initial raw damage of 100. So if Spectre's Dispersion is 22% return damage, the Drow will return and take 22 damage. However, Drow's damage then will be reduced using her armor, so that might only be, let's say she reduces it by 2, just for a simple calculation, and Drow would take 20 damage. So the damage return is pretty high, and now Spectre can make this even better by increasing the dispersion by a talent on level 25 by 5%. So instead of it being 22%, it brings it up to 27%. Now this might go a little bit over your head, but we want to know how to counter it. You know, we know how to, if you want to look at that again and see how the spell works, you can, but we're going to see how we can counter. The first one is damage reduction. Lich's Frost Armor is great. Underlord's damage reduction aura is probably one of the best. It helps reduce damage that your teammates take as well, because it's an aura, as long as you're joining the team fights where Spectre is and sticking with your team. Another great hero is Anti-Mage. He can blink away, it's very hard for Spectre to chase after him, but also the pacing of the game suits Anti-Mage players a lot better because Spectre's not really able to end that early. But as well as that, you have other heroes, like plenty others, like Viper with his Nether Toxin or Doom with his ultimate. There's a ton of like spells out there that can really deal with it, but they're usually ones that are disabling his passives. Now the third one is Snapfire's Gobble Up. This is her Aghanim's upgrade. Now this is kind of like a second ultimate if you want to think about it that way. Why is it good? Well, repositioning your teammates is incredibly overpowered. It's like a free blink dagger, but with even a longer range. And as well as that, it kind of allows you to save your teammates. If you walk over to them and gobble them up, they can't take any damage while they're inside of you. And it has a relatively low cooldown. It can give vision into Roche Pit as well if you want to throw a creep in there. And it's 40-second cooldown, so it's pretty good. Like if you're spamming it on a regular basis, and it allows you to keep a super fast tempo on this hero. Now, how do we counter it? Well, it's actually quite hard. Really, you need to respect the fact that the enemy have a long distance initiation. If the Snapfire is missing and not farming in the you have to be very careful on the lanes. You might want to go farm back into the jungle, or even be very cautious and stand behind your teammates. So if you're playing a support or you're playing a core, make sure you tell the supports to stand behind you. Maybe have them buy a glimmer cape and try and save you. It's going to be pretty deep. Even like picking something like a safe hero might end up resolving that and just counter initiate, get Dazzle, Shallow Grave, and kind of get him out. Now the other thing you can do that's a little bit different as a support is to get deeper wards, especially near the towers, so that you can see when Snapfire teleports in and pretty much catch her and back off before she can even go and gobble someone up and throw them into your teammates. Number 4 is Mars, Arena of Blood. This is his ultimate. So why is it good? Well, it helps him snowball and get really far ahead, especially easy to kill players if they pick the wrong heroes. A lot of heroes who can't escape the ring in the arena have a very hard time. Now, how do you counter this? Well, one of the ways is you pick heroes like Void Spirit, Morana, and Slark who can jump out of the arena. You can do stuff like save your spin on Juggernaut to get magic immunity and get out of the ring. You can also pick save heroes like Oracle or Vengeful Spirit to swap your teammates out, click Oracle ulti onto heroes that got caught in the ring. One of the most important things about these save heroes is that you want to make sure that you have cast range, and as their ultimates get higher levels, the cast range gets better. Aether Lens also comes into play as well here. So these are all things that you want to consider about. As well as that, just make sure the important spells for allowing you to escape Arena of Blood are off cooldown and that you're not wasting them in some stupid way or getting baited to use those spells. And finally, the last one is Windranger's Focus Fire. Well, the reason why it's so good is that it's very easy to execute and it is very noob friendly. Pretty much you just click on a hero and run after them, and you have fast movement speed. And a lot of the saves that are traditionally there, like Shallow Grave from Dazzle and even Oracle's ulti, don't necessarily always work, because if they are Shallow Grave, they're low health. Even if Dazzle gives them that little burst of health, Windranger can keep running after them and get those instances of damage, or even if they're far distance away, a power shot can finish them off afterwards. With Oracle, you typically want to just disarm the Windranger, and that's one of the counters, is to just disarm her. Stuns also work really well, and timing them and being in position for early stuns and early disarms to minimize the amount of damage that's taken and not even make it close, that Windranger can kill them. Now, another great one is to pick tanky heroes like Underlord, Ogre Magi, Treant Protector. Very hard for Windranger to kill any of these heroes. As well as that, you can buy Blade Mail. This is, again, combines great with these tanky heroes. And the reason why you want to pick these ones, if possible, is that Windranger doesn't get to snowball, and she's very weak at farming the jungle. It slows down her pacing, and it's not necessarily what the hero wants to do. She wants to run around and just kill people and pick off these squishy heroes. But if you don't got squishies, then Windranger kind of ends up becoming useless. And in the later parts of the game, if she doesn't have items, what is she? She's like a fly in the wall. Boom, she die real quick if she's no BKB. Now, the other thing that you can do as well, which is a little bit harder but works very well as well, is to block her path if she can't chase after the enemy doing something like a Fissure or Cogs. Sometimes if she's a Blink Dagger, she can go over it, but she will have to commit a very far position forward. So, do you agree with this list? Do you want to think there's some other ability that works as well that's better than these? Tell me down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more Dota content like this, make sure you subscribe.